All right, we are live here at the first ever kind of our red carpet show here.
I
I
can't hear
got
you through my headphones.
you
Am
can
I
hear me?
supposed to? No, I can't.
I can hear you.
I can't hear you through my headphones. I can hear you.
Right, you're not gonna hear me in the headphones.
Oh, well, what kind of Mickey Mouse operation you running here, McMahon?
Sorry, sorry, Jesse. Jesse the body. Uh Jimmy the body. So we're live here. This is gonna be our red carpet affair before the 2020 meeting. We're going to be hitting people up as they walk in. We're hoping they're all going to be okay to get interviewed by us. We're going to throw some stats at you here, kind of make it fun, go over some stuff for the 2019 season. Working our way
I.e., Eric's rules. That's how he
work,
does it.
working our way into the 2020 season. We're also give you some preview of other things going on in the draft. Of course, the big lottery takes place tonight, which everyone's excited for that. I know this guy's excited for it because he's got a chance of getting 3 top picks.
Which won't happen because he rigged it, but whatever.
I don't rig anything. He can think what he wants. He's just jealous. But here, you know what? We're gonna start with our first interview. I'm actually gonna interview you, putting you on the hot seat here. We're gonna examine Jimmy Chase's 2019 season.
I didn't do it. You can't prove anything.
He finished 2-11. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I know that's not where you finished. The projection for you was actually to win the whole thing. Where do you think your season went wrong?
Well, it's like I said earlier, man. The players. When you got Aaron Rodgers and Dalvin Cook and Debo Samuel, who, mind you, is going to be a beast next year, and I'm definitely keeping him. He actually didn't perform well in the beginning of the season. Who else? Le'Veon Bell. He held some numbers, but he wasn't Le'Veon Bell. But then again, look who he's with. Um,
Of course, that's probably why you traded the guy away,
absolutely,
which may land you a top pick.
absolutely. So again, I think it's players' performance. On paper,
My
it was
question,
great
my question is, what made you trade Tyreek Hill? That was a shocker to a lot of people in our league.
because I pretty much had a feeling that my season was over at that point. I said, okay, now's the time. Let me try and get a first round pick for him, which I did. So
No, I mean it could pan out for you pretty well. Um, so overall, you finished obviously 16th. And you have in our draft lottery, you do have the most ping pong balls for your pick alone, not counting Christina or Mark's, who you will have. But I
oh,
guess,
I got T.J. Hawkinson out of the Tyreek Hill deal.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yep. Potential, solid rookie for you there. I guess and I'm gonna ask this question to everyone that comes up, at least the ones involved in the draft lottery. If you get that first overall pick, who are you thinking? I know we're only here in February, but I mean, there's a stream of good running backs. There's some couple. I know you're probably big on Jeff Judy out of Alabama.
well, commissioner, that remains to be seen. We'll find out. And when is our draft? August, right?
That'll be August. The date will actually be
August.
announced here later. We're not going to announce that yet. We got to save some stuff for the draft
No,
or for the
honestly, there
meeting.
are there are a few guys that I'm looking at, but at the same time, like he said, it's February. We're just getting started. The draft hasn't happened yet. We don't know where these guys are going. We don't know what's going to happen to them in preseason.
And you may
So
trade the pick away with all we know. Who knows?
I could, and you don't know what's going to happen to them in training camp. I mean, the top running back, wide receiver, whatever, first week of training camp tears his ACL out for the year. We don't know.
If
So
I had to put you on the gun right now, you had to pick someone right now. Who would it be?
J.K. Dobbins.
I wouldn't pick that with my first overall pick. I would probably go Jonathan Taylor, but
He would sell his house and his wife and his children to get J.K. Dobbins.
that is absolutely false. I would not sell my wife.
Okay. If he got drafted to Miami, he would totally sell his wife.
Moving along. These are some fun facts. I went and looked at everyone's points scored for a total and points given up, and so you scored for the season 14,343 points. Where do you think that ranked you in 2019 amongst all the teams scoring?
Well, obviously in 16th.
And the answer is yes. He was actually accurate. He was the lowest scoring team in 2019. Um,
Again, player performance. Aaron Rodgers, Dalvin Cook, Le'Veon Bell. I did have Tyreek Hill for a part of the season. Debo Samuel. These are some of the guys that I had. 16th in scoring. So player performance, it does, I think, play a big factor into it.
Now in 2019, you gave up 18,515 points. Where do you think that ranks you for points given up in a season?
Um,
That's
all right.
opponents, obviously. It's not like you
I'm
can
not going to
control
say
that, but
16th, but I am going to say that probably at the lower half because I think there were some other guys who gave up a lot more points than I did.
if I said you finished 16th, would you believe me?
I would.
He finished 16th, people. But that's okay. That's okay. Um, he's going to reap the benefits when he has a good shot at getting that
Reap the
first of
benefits. I finished last, guys. Guess what? I'm not guaranteed the first pick.
the draft lottery. It's a game changer. Um, so we looked here at your overall season, and I'm not going to go through all 13 games, but there's two I highlighted. And one, which was week 8, you had a big blowout victory over Ray Bailey's team, and that was your first win of the season. But the other one I highlighted here was in week 10, you got a win over Jordan. Obviously, you only had 2 wins, so there's not much to highlight. But that one, you only won actually by 11 points. What do you think of that?
Well, speaking of Jordan, as I said earlier, the 2019 season was the first. I've been in this league for 5 years.
He's a charter member.
One of the original. It was the first season that I've done the most trades, and Jordan was actually my first trade, as I traded Jarvis Landry for his second round pick, and that was early. I think that was like week 3 in the season.
Yeah. So I also went and ahead and looked at a projected keeper. If right now, this is the experts has sat down and took each team and came up with right now, if you had to come down with 10 people to keep, and this is what we came up with for you,
Okay.
and you can give me your thoughts on the 10. So first, quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Second, wide receiver Debo Samuel.
Okay.
Running back Delvin Cook. Quarterback Daniel Jones. Wide receiver AJ Green, who was a big pickup for you
I forgot
off
about
the
him.
waiver wire. Running back Tyreek Cohen. Tight end TJ Hawkinson. Kicker Matt Gay. Linebacker Jordan Hicks. And the Lions defense.
You could scratch the Lions defense. You could scratch the kicker, and who was the other one?
Linebacker Jordan Hicks.
You could scratch him too.
Those are just, like I said, we're just looking at what you had. And
That's a fair list. The others, though, that's a
but,
fair list.
you know, obviously trades could take place and you could add players, which would make you keep those players instead. Um, Anything else you want to add to your 2019 season? Any final thoughts?
Oh, final thought. I'm in the hot seat. It's a hard one. Well, pay attention to Fantasy Commissioner. Watch his videos. This guy knows what he's talking about, even if he completely dicks all the players in the leagues, which is what's going to happen. Unless I end up with the first 3 picks, and then I will come on here and do a blog and say he's one of the greatest commissioners of all time. But, some more rules. I'm sorry, some more votes to be set in tonight of certain rule changes. Things that are supposed to be, to make the league more, uh, competitive. That's it.
I figured out one thing I have to do. I have him on here and he goes on a rant like that. I got to figure out how to mute his microphone. So I'm going to give you the next choice, Jimmy. Do you want to do my interview, talk about my season, or should we go ahead and move with the first guy that we got here, Ray Bailey? Which one do you want to do first?
I've never interviewed anybody before.
You want
I'll
to do
interview
me?
you.
Okay. There's a sheet. If you can't read my writing, that's kind of what. So up in here, there's my record. There's my finish. That's the points I scored. That's the points I gave up and where I ranked in those. And then here's obviously my each individual score. The circle ones are highlighted games that were really close. And then these are my obviously projected
Very
10.
interesting. Let's get right into it. Why do you cheat the league, Mr. Miller? Why do you do that?
This is supposed to be about my team. I don't cheat the league at all.
You come up with these votes to make the league more competitive. However, it craps on a little guy. It does. It does.
Okay, how many league titles have I won?
See, I knew you were gonna do that. He hasn't won a league title. yet. When these rules are put in place, I'm sure that will change.
How many times have I been in the finals?
Let's see here.
He's not answering these questions, ladies and gentlemen.
You were last year, weren't you?
I have never been in the final.
No, you went third.
I've been
Third,
third.
right?
Yep.
All right, all right. So your record was 8-5.
hmm Squeaked by. I don't know. I got a lot of help in 2019. Trust me. At one point, I did not think my team was going to qualify um, for the championship playoff. I had myself completely at a shot for the best of the rest, and with this some sheer dumb luck, I made it in.
Your projected keepers. You wrote these, right?
The experts sat down and our panel sat down and looked at who potentially could be kept in 2020 season.
So let's talk about all the ones that will, the projected ones that will be kept. Jared Goff.
Yep.
Yeah, he kind of took a step back last year.
He's what killed me in my opinion because he had a great season in 2018.
It was almost like he had a Super Bowl hangover. That being said, do you think Kansas City and San Francisco will suffer the same Super Bowl hangover? Because honestly, in the past 10 years, the only team I think is the Patriots that really haven't. When you look at Philly, they won, they came back, they were kind of mediocre, right? The Rams got there, they did not perform like the almost defending champions they would have been.
I mean, the Niners defense, in my opinion, is top rate, and depending on what they do, there's a lot of talk about their offense. What's going to happen? There's been talk about obviously. I mean, I've heard the crazy one where all of a sudden Tom Brady's going to be a Niner and Garoppolo's going to be a Patriot. I think that's just someone trying to create headlines. They're not moving Garoppolo. They're going to keep him. Why would you bring in a guy who's in his 40s? They don't have an offensive skill set around him. The team is basically built to run the ball and play defense. So bringing in Tom Brady, he doesn't have. I mean, he's got the tight end Kittle, but there's no deep threat at wide receiver. I mean, Samuel. Trying to think of
That
who would
guy,
Samuel relate. Samuel's not going to be a deep threat. Samuel's going to be almost like Wes Welker or Julian Edelman, but
slot guy, really.
a slot, someone that's going to move around. They're going to do end arounds with him and stuff. But I don't see him going down the field.
Hmm.
But anyways, we're not here. We're talking about my team.
Okay, so yeah, down to it. Um, Number 8 on your keepers, Mike Williams. You still riding with them, huh?
He's definitely being
Even
considered.
with talks with Rivers maybe being
I mean,
gone,
you got to realize Mike Williams was someone I loved coming out of college, and he hasn't.
but has he lived up to that though?
No, he hasn't lived up what I thought he was going to do. But he hasn't. Also, he's made plays and he's done stuff where I think he's still worth keeping. You know, He'll be looked at for sure. I just want to get a note here before Guy Conkey just walked in the door,
What's up, guy?
our 2016 champion. So we'll get him here in a few to get interviewed, of course. Welcome, Guy. We're doing a live stream, kind of like our red
Live
carpet event
stream.
here.
You're next to be interviewed, so I won't take up too much time in the hot seat. I will say Calvin Ridley, I do like, even though Julio continues to perform at a very elite level. Sooner or later, he's going to go. Ridley's going to be that guy. David Montgomery, kind of a bummer, wasn't it? I took him first round in my other league, and yeah,
Yeah, that was one of like I really looked back at that one. You got to understand when I traded up to get that pick, I wasn't eyeing David Montgomery. You know who I was eyeing with my first overall pick. Everyone knows who I was eyeing.
yep.
But then developments during the preseason made it look like, and I'm sure you're going to ask me about him in a second, so I'm not going to mention him, but um, I didn't have to draft him in the first round. I could still get him later. But then it came, do I want Josh Jacobs or do I want David Montgomery? Boy, did I get that one wrong.
Yeah, should have took Jacobs.
But I just went with in my head. I was like the old, the Alabama backs typically struggle,
Agreed.
and they were like
Agreed.
in love with David Montgomery. I mean, the Bears absolutely were raving about him and were
I
very
know.
excited.
I thought the same thing, man. I thought the same thing about Jacobs. Speaking of the man who you said I was going to ask you about, Dwayne Haskins. You really were going to take him in the first round last year?
He was going to be the first overall pick in our league, absolutely. But it was that Thursday's preseason game that changed my mind. Literally, I was at
Oh, what did he
work.
throw?
I
Like
was at work.
he threw like 17 interceptions or something like that, right?
He's gonna be a good quarterback in this league.
What makes you say that?
He has the tools. He just has to. He's got a good receiver. He's just got to get into a flow. He's got to get back to what made him a great quarterback at Ohio State. But I think we're gonna have the coaching change there. He's gonna be good. And I could be dead wrong on that. It's not like I haven't been wrong before, but as of right now, I will keep him. Oh, we got Dennis Bynum just showed up, and
How
the
you doing,
world
Dennis?
famous mac and cheese is here. Ray Bailey is very excited about that.
How'd you get Nick Chubb? Did you get him from Ray?
I made a trade. That was the Odell Beckham deal.
Ah, Odell Beckham. Okay. Zeke Elliott, definitely a keeper. Juju Smith, which you offered me in a trade,
Um,
considering.
you know, he is in talks to possibly be traded, but as of right now, he would be a keeper. Welcome. We're doing a live stream. It's our red carpet event.
What's up, Dennis?
We'll have you interviewed here in a minute. We'll put you on the hot seat. All
Hunter
right.
Henry, I like that move. Definitely. I think he's definitely an up and comer. He's already proved himself, I think.
Move him around. I don't care.
Who's that?
What? Points for?
No,
What?
number 7.
A.J. Brown,
AJ Brown.
the wide receiver from the Titans, rookie.
You picked him up?
I traded for him.
Oh.
But that was before he got hot.
You know what's interesting is you were one of the guys who pushed for the individual defense players, which I was too because I like it. It's very cool. However, there's no keepers on here. Nobody stood out, huh?
The experts, that's what they came up with. Now, like I said, if any trades happen, I'm not saying that defensive players won't make it in there. If I was to lose any of those people on that list in a trade, then I would have a spot possibly for a Jalen Smith or a Joey Bosa.
Well, on that note, let me ask you, since you're an OSU homer, where does Chase rank?
Chase Young?
Yes.
Well, of all the chases, he's by far my favorite.
He's not lying. His overall favorite is Thompson, but we won't talk about that.
I mean, if you're gonna ask me if I think he's better than either one of the Bosas, is that what you're asking?
No, not necessarily. I'm asking if you think he is first 3 rounds worthy.
In our draft,
Yes. Because there will be people who draft defensive players in the first 3 rounds. You know it'll
if
happen.
he makes it past the second round, I'd be shocked.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
All
Mr.
right,
Miller's eyeballing him.
we got other people to talk about here, so let's wrap me up here.
Yeah, he's kicking me off now. So who's next? Who are we gonna do?
Well, he doesn't want to be interviewed, unfortunately, but we're gonna put Ray Bailey on the hot seat here.
Let's bring Raymond Bailey up. Come on, ladies and
No,
gentlemen.
he doesn't want to come up, and that's fine. That's fine. What are you doing? You're not done. No, This is the kickoff show. You're my sidekick. I gotta have someone to talk to. All right,
I
so
ain't nobody's sidekick. I'm the show.
okay,
You'll see.
so in 2019, Ray Bailey's team went 5-8, which is a 13th finish overall. Um, he scored 15,684 points,
Ooh, very close to me.
which put him 12th for points scored. Here's where it's gonna be a shocker. So points given up. Remember, I said he scored 15,684 points, right? His team only gave up 15,787 points. Where do you think that ranks him for his points given up?
Wait, so his team gave up? My team gave up 18,000 something. His team gave up 15,000 something.
You were 16th.
He's got to be 10 or lower.
Second.
What?
He gave up the second fewest amount of points.
Ray.
If you look at
That's
his
good defense,
roster,
bro.
here's the thing. You look at his roster, and when we're going to talk about projected keepers, The biggest killer for him was when Roethlisberger went down. That was a killer.
That's right. Yeah, Big Ben.
Because from a receiver standpoint, he is, if not the top receiving core, he's in the top three. But it's the running game where he's suffering.
Ah, yes.
It's the
Was
running
it was that
game.
before or after you conned him out of Nick Chubb? Which one was it?
We got to understand he got Philip Lindsay back in the deal, who had what 1,000+ season his rookie year.
His rookie year. What did he do last year?
He did under 1,000, but they also gave more carries to Royce Freeman, which wasn't completely projected.
Shout out to Royce Freeman. I don't know him.
So we circled 2 games in 2019. So he had a week 6. He lost to eventual champion Nick Ritz. He put up 906 points, and Nick put up 1,036. I mean, clearly, if his team would have showed up a little bit better that day, that would have been a win. And then also, here was another one. He lost to third place team, Will. In week 7, the following week, Will put up 1,076 and he put up 1,046. So those are 2 weeks in a row where, those were definite wins that could have been had. That could have changed the balance of power too, because that would have hurt where Will and Nick would have sat potentially in the playoffs as well. But as far as projected keepers, we have quarterback Ryan Tannehill, quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, and again, these are
who really, really. I said this at work. Tannehill really proved that it's not just the quarterback; it's the quarterback in the system. Because in Miami, he sucked. And
boy
then he
did I
goes to,
I waited 1 year too late.
and he goes to Tennessee, and then who is this kid? Who is this kid? Out of nowhere, right?
We got then here goes, like I said, the top receiving core by far in the league, in my opinion. Receiver Julio Jones, receiver Odell Beckham, receiver Julian Edelman, and then Mr. Hollywood himself, the rookie, Mr. Marquise Brown.
Marquise Brown, look out for him, man.
Oh, that kid's a stud. Him and Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Also, we think he'll keep running back Philip Lindsay, tight end Eric Ebron, the Ravens defense, and linebacker Deion Jones. Like I said, if he had his running back it's just abysmal. That's definitely going to be I mean, he's definitely got to be hoping for the number 1 overall pick, and I think he would look at Jonathan Taylor or Swift out of Georgia with that first overall pick.
At least you're hoping he does.
I don't know why he would say that. He is in the room. Would you like any? So, Ray, would you like to make any thoughts? I mean, you got to understand. Even though this was
Yeah, don't thank him. You got to make him.
this was the most competitive. This was probably the most competitive his team has been since the first year.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, you get, if you had a better running game, I really think you were in that, would have been at least middle of the pack, at least.
And you would have had a better running game if somebody would have dicked you out of Nick Chubb, but whatever.
Yeah, I also that trade also bolstered his receiving core.
Is that what you tell yourself to sleep at night? Gotcha.
Well, another individual that, of course, is already here is Dennis, and he doesn't want to be on camera, and that's
Dennis
fine.
the Menace. Dennis is a former mob boss, so he doesn't want to get on camera. He's on the run right now. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna wind up in the trunk of my own car.
So we're gonna examine your team right now. If you would like to be on the hot seat, you're welcome to be, or you can answer.
I just know I beat people 2 times in this thing. I still ended up 10th in the league, and they had.
And we're gonna talk about that. So
2 teams ahead of me.
so he finished. And of course the Eastern Division, it was a fight between Efren, myself, and Dennis. So we all finished 8-5, and any one of us could have won. It was Efren's to win. The fact that he and I stayed in it the way we did was kind of our own, I think, luck. But
it's a tough division.
we got Nick Ergang just showed up. Welcome. We're doing a live stream. It's kind of our red carpet event.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers over here. How you doing?
It looks more like Chris Christopherson. I said you got like the Chris Christopherson. Anyway, so Dennis did finish 10th place. So for points scored, he put up 16,753, which ranked him 10th overall, and points given up 17,221, which would put him ninth. The games that we circled now for him, we circled a lot of games. Because he had a lot of close games. He was almost kind of like the cardiac kids. Um, he had in week 8 he beat Christina 1,168 to 1,039, and then he lost to Will the next week 1,305 to 1,293. So right there, if he would have won that game, he would have won the division, and he would have been the 4 seed in the playoffs.
I think Guy spanked me though at the wasn't it? Was it Guy?
Yep, that was in the best of the rest tournament. Um,
Tournament?
Another one was, and what, week 10, he just squeaked by Mark, 1,013 or 1,358 to 1,306. And then another game that was close was against me in week 12, where I beat him. I only beat him by what, 22 points?
Or 12? You got that as a win, though.
No, that was that was a win for me. That was a loss for him. No, Efren. I take that back. That's Efren. He beat Efren by 22 points.
I beat Efren twice.
Yep. And that game was another one. If he would have lost that one, Efren would have won the division. So projected keepers we got here, uh, and he did have a bye going into the best of the rest. Um, but projected keepers we're looking at. Our experts sat down and did this.
Did they really?
Yep.
Okay.
So we got quarterback. This is right now. This is not, no free agency hasn't taken place or no trades or anything. So Drew Brees,
Solid.
Amari Cooper,
Contract's up.
Mark Ingram, Leonard Fournette, Chris Goodwin, Noah Fant, quarterback Josh Allen, running back Tevin Coleman, linebacker Demario Davis, and the Saints defense.
I like Noah Fant. I like the tight end. I think he's going to be good. He definitely
I
showed.
mean, for an Iowa kid, you can't really slack him too much.
No, he did well last year. I thought for his rookie season. Mark Ingram, you definitely can't go wrong with that. Leonard Fournette, he was kind of
He was up
still.
and down.
He's a name. I mean, definitely.
And he's someone that might not even be a Jacksonville Jaguar next year. He may be somewhere else.
Is his contract up too?
No, but they're looking to trade him.
Oh, gotcha. But if you notice, Leonard Fournette's game depended on if Nick Foles was quarterbacking or Uncle Rico. What's his name?
Minshew.
Yeah, that's it.
He might be a keeper, by the way, for someone. And our experts did. We kind of heard that through a grapevine.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Our experts didn't put it, but we heard it from the man himself, and we'll talk about that later. Dennis, would you have any thoughts on your team this year?
Just that it's a whole lot more fun to win than the first year I did it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was like 3-13 or 2-14, whatever it was. I don't remember, but 8-5, that was fun.
And that's the whole point, is to have fun.
Some people I didn't think I would.
No, I mean,
It's all a good time.
I think he would agree.
It's definitely better to win. I mean, like, who wants to finish bottom or last?
I think
10th out of the thing.
I think Jimmy would agree. You have a stacked roster with potential to
Definitely.
My whole thing was my defense took a dump. My player, and then you go in to fill the players, move people around, and there's nobody there. They're like,
Well, even then, Brees was out for what, 6 weeks?
and he was
6 or
gone
7
for
weeks,
6 weeks, yeah.
right?
There's nobody to pick from when somebody gets hurt.
No, not in this size league.
No.
Like I had a new running back.
so.
Once we get through the draft, basically, I think Nick said it the best is they just don't have
Well,
much left.
and I've been asking this to everyone so far. So you have a shot at getting the first overall pick this year with our draft lottery.
I'm gonna take that dude, that running back from Ohio State,
He seems to be a hot commodity.
I'm telling you.
or the dude from Wisconsin. What's his name?
See, and that's who our
Justin
experts are
Taylor?
saying that will be the first overall pick.
Maybe I'll take Chase Young.
Our independent drawer for the lottery has just shown up. Jeff Gruen, everyone.
Oh, don't announce that. You have freaking satellite.
How you doing, Jeff?
So
How
we're
much
gonna
he
we're
pay
gonna
you?
keep this rolling. We're gonna keep this rolling along here. We got about 40 minutes before we're gonna go off air for a little bit. So we're gonna talk about Guy.
That happened.
As we should. He's right. He's. Let's see if
I'm
we
not your
can't.
guy, buddy. I'm not your buddy,
We got
Flynn.
Guy right there.
You need to interview the drawer.
Oh, we will. We'll get to him. Don't worry. Um,
Did they do you yet?
we're doing Guy
Looks like
right
Jimmy
now.
Hoffa. You paid him well,
Yeah.
so I won't get the first pick.
So Guy, 2019 finished 5-8, which was good for seventh overall. Points scored 16,831, which put him eighth position, right in the middle of the pack. Points given up 16,632, again seventh, which is right in the middle of the pack. So he was right there. We circled a few of his games here. Week 2, he lost to Will, 1,545 to 1,518. I mean, if your quarterback gets what, a 40-yard pass, or your running backs each run for, I mean, you win that game.
That's where the problem was. Is the running backs. I had
And that showed.
Oh, you traded Hunt, right? You had Kareem Hunt.
But Hunt
Traded him
wouldn't
for
have helped
Wentz.
them that much anyways.
No, because he didn't.
I
come
mean, you
back
could
till
say
week
that was a bust deal for him. I mean, he actually probably reaped the benefits on that one. You got a second round pick out of that, which probably
Well,
became who?
oh, now hold on. Who won? Who won this year?
But it had nothing to do with Kareem Hunt.
But you can't say he got a bust deal. He's the one who ended up winning. Like, right?
I mean, he won it, but it wasn't because of Kareem Hunt.
Is
I don't
that
know what
Britney
you're.
Spears?
What you're
Is that a picture of Britney Spears?
that is Britney Spears. I was at that concert.
Were you really?
There's Jeff Gruen, everyone. That's going to be our independent Price Water and Waterhouse or whatever. Send him over. Well, we're hoping for no
It's
vile
YouTube, so yeah,
language.
we gotta be.
This is live right now, and no children are. Also, another game we circled, which was a win for Guy. He beat Mark by 3 points in week 4. Um, and then again, I mean, you talk about just amazing. And then he loses to Mark in week 11, 1,191 to 1,056. But then he beats him for the best of the rest, and that matchup was what, 40-point differential?
You beat Mark for the best of the rest.
Yep. I mean,
40 points. That's close. That's
yeah.
close in our league.
Oh, our championship matches, all championship weekend. That matchup was what, it was actually 44 points separate. No, 40. Yeah, 44 points separated the best of the rest championship. 40 points separated the third place. 60 points separated the championship. So if you think about, for example, Ross Carlson's team, if all his players essentially get like 4 more points each individually,
Mhm.
he wins the championship. If his quarterback throws for 40 more yards or 60 more yards, he wins the championship. For guys projected keepers, we got quarterback Patrick Mahomes.
Oh yeah.
That might be a keeper. I don't. He's probably thinking on that one. He might trade that one away. Receiver Kenny Galladay.
Oh yeah.
Running back Kenyon Drake, who definitely benefited from that trade to Arizona.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Receiver Sterling Shepard. Running back Darius Geis, who obviously, if he stays healthy,
Yeah, that's where my weakness was running backs. There's my number 2. Did get a lot of production. He got injured. First overall pick. Got hurt 4 minutes after I drafted him.
that was Lamar Miller.
Here. Did he break his leg? What happened?
AFL. Something with the ankle related.
Yeah, and it literally happened minutes after it happened. Yeah.
But it happened the year before too, didn't it?
Did it?
I see that a lot. Starting to show up more.
So
2 years in a row, something.
we wrote down Alshon Jeffrey. Now I've heard him possibly going to Buffalo in a trade. We put the Rams defense, linebacker Devondre Campbell, defensive tackle Aaron Donald. I don't know why I said Arian. And wide receiver Anthony Miller. Now this is right now. This is obviously trades could take place or whatever.
I'd say mostly correct.
Mostly.
Hmm?
He said mostly correct.
Mostly correct.
So he's probably not keeping Mahomes, because who would do that?
I heard he wants to trade him to the douchebags.
Hey, for the number 1 pick.
Any
got a
final
shot at
thoughts
that.
on your 2019 season? Happy to be your first bester. You're getting a lot of hardware in this league.
I kind of am. It's not too bad. I'm either the best worst team or the worst best team. I can't figure out which one yet. But I think with Mahomes upset, I could use another good, decent backup. I think that cost me. He's not having a backup for the couple games he missed. Need some running back help. Once I get those, I
the only thing for you that, and it's not just for you, it's for your division is actually becoming competitive. Where the last few years prior, it wasn't. I mean, it was essentially a one-team division, and your team, all the teams in that division, Jordan has gotten better. Obviously, Mark. I mean, a lot of people did not want Mark to make it into the championship playoff. I can tell you that.
Well, now Mark came in at the bottom because his team was horrible, and he totally rebuilt it.
hmm
And then he
But he did
almost
the
made it
same. But yeah,
last
I
year,
remember Guy did that his first year. He took over an expansion team,
and you won too,
and
right?
he won it the
Yeah,
first
he won
year.
that year.
And that was a worse team than what Mark inherited.
Oh wow.
Um, but we're gonna
So
move
see, in
along.
hindsight, because I'm one of the originals and I haven't won jack.
You're a two-time division winner. You finished third place.
What was that? Second year, second and third year?
I think so. I got the book around here somewhere.
That's actually when you guys met Mark, because he drafted for me that year.
Let's.
That is when he became your favorite person.
We're gonna. Oh, he's a good guy. Um, but we're gonna move on here. We're gonna go to Nick Erging's team. Um, he had a 5-8 record. Finished ninth overall. Um, let's see what match. Oh, so points scored. He scored 16,059, which put him 11th, and he gave up 17,824, which was 14th most given up in the season. Um, but we did circle a few here where um, he lost to Ray by 67 points in week 5. Um, and then here was another one where his best game was week 9 where he lost. He lost it, but it was against Ross's team who put up 1643. Oh yeah, there was. But here's the fight. Here's the funny thing, Nick, is I looked at this. Oh, did you? Well, that was kind of Guy's problem too. He had an issue with his. He accidentally had an old league locked in, so he couldn't do his roster. But here's another close one you had was in the best of the rest tournament. You lost to Mark. You lost to Mark by 25 points. If you would have beat Mark, you would have beat Guy the next week. You would have been your second best of the rest championship. Um, yeah. And we did your projected 10 right now as Lamar Jackson, who definitely has just panned out as a tremendous quarterback.
Definitely.
Huh? What a bum. But I think this guy, now the next guy we put as a keeper for you is, I think, a little overhyped, is Baker Mayfield.
I don't think I'd give up on him just yet.
I'm not saying I'm giving up on him. I just think he's overhyped. I mean, he's what you have essentially is you're solid at quarterback for the next decade. Um, you got receiver Terry McLaurin. Geez, where's he from?
I don't know, where is he from?
He's from, I think, somewhere in Ohio. I don't know.
Miami, Ohio. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Receiver Jamison Crowder. We got receiver John Ross. Running back Miles Sanders, who really
like it.
came on strong at the end of the year. He started off really, really bad, but showed potential as being the guy in Philadelphia. And then from what I hear, this guy's going to be the guy for the Chargers going forward is Austin Eckler.
Well, what about Melvin Gordon? What happened?
I've heard he's going to be somewhere else next year.
Really?
Yeah. He doesn't want to be there anyways. Austin Eckler's benefit. Kicker Justin Tucker, arguably the best kicker in the league. I mean, you've had him as your keeper for about 3 years now, I think. Levante David, linebacker, who is just a tackling machine, and receiver Emmanuel Sanders, who is an original to Nick's team. Goes actually back to the original owner, Jason Epplett, back in our charter. Yep, Demarius Thomas. But they both put up good numbers. I mean, that was actually your team when those guys were scoring great. was you had one of the best receiving cores at that time. Just Demarius Thomas really dropped off. There wasn't even a gradual decline. It was just the anchor fell into the ocean and he went down with it.
Agreed. If he was going to rise again, it would have been when he was that short stint he did with the Patriots.
Yeah. I thought he was actually gonna. Um, what are your thoughts? Any final thoughts on your 2019 season?
I just gotta pay better attention. Make sure I get my roster set. I was bummed I had to give up Bo Scarborough when I had to turn down 10 keepers.
Yeah.
Well, he wound up.
But he didn't have much. His rookie year was pretty. He was kind of.
But I think he might have found a home now.
Oh, he
And
might
I
have.
think Detroit's going to keep him. I was going to say, going back to Baker Mayfield, Cleveland is like the AFC version of the Detroit Lions. They do have some talent, but if they could just do something with it, that might actually be competitive, and Baker Mayfield may be come to his full potential. You know what I'm saying? But Bo Scarborough, so you dropped him, so that's how I got him.
Yep, I picked him
He's up there, and that's.
actually in the draft.
I just asked about it. I didn't, look into it too deep yet.
Right.
Just I asked. Well, the original owner of American Waste, I asked him.
What, the last 3 games or so.
Mhm.
He goes, yeah, there's an opening.
If we could have got 12, he would have been on my list.
Well, in my opinion, your team is on the rise.
It's probably.
I think you definitely, and you have a shot at the first overall pick as well. Who do you think you would take right now? If you had to pick someone, who would you take?
Probably J.K. Dobbins, right? I mean, like, who wouldn't? You know what I mean? That guy.
Well, it's at least from a quality program.
Huh?
Money can buy.
That was cold. All right. Well, we're gonna move on to a couple people who will not be attending this, but they're actually gonna be on stream. Wanted to thank Nick for actually coming up and being a part of our stream here. I mean, Dennis put in a few words, obviously too, and Guy participated. Someone decided not to say a word at all, but that's okay. We won't hold that against him. He's still mad because I didn't have any Mickeys for him.
And I was going to call you and remind you. And I didn't. But you don't answer your text anyway. I texted you twice in the last hour.
Oh, I'm setting up for all this. I'm setting up all for this.
You've been bleeding somewhere.
Well, hopefully not. So we're gonna talk about Anthony Sykes' team. They went. He went 6-7. Finished 11th overall. Started out actually really, really strong. He scored 15,677 points. And he gave up 15,531. Where do you think that put him for points given up? Put him as he gave up the fewest amount of points. So basically, when he played people, they cowered, they scared, they saw Anthony coming, and
Put him
they
in first.
Hmm?
Put him in first, didn't it?
what?
For fewest points given up.
He gave up the fewest points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was first in that.
Right.
Man.
But he was 13th in points scored. But he was another team that had issues at running back. But he's got a young team coming at him. But let's see, we circled for him week 11. He lost to Patrick by 48 points. I mean, if you at the time, I mean that he could have turned his season around. But we got Pat, huh? No, we're talking about Anthony right now. But yeah, he lost to Patrick by 48 points. But of course, he's also in the division with the 3-time world champion, so that doesn't help. And I'm sure as Nick Ergang can attest to that too. But we think that guy, and we'll talk about him soon, but we think his time is declining. His time is up.
We'll see about that. I mean, he even with a team that wasn't as strong as, hey, it's Eric's favorite person.
Mark Thompson just showed up. We're doing a live. It's our red carpet event here. But so projected keepers for Anthony, we got quarterback Kyler Murray, who definitely exceeded what I thought he would do. I mean, I didn't think he would be as good as he was. I don't know how you feel.
At first, I mean, they obviously got us some stilts, or they should get us some stilts, and he'll be even better. But
we got receiver Robbie Anderson, receiver John Brown, who Josh Allen seems to just love. Receiver Tyler Lockett, kicker Will Lutz, quarterback Phillip Rivers, defensive end Nick Bosa. All right, there's a stud.
Yeah, why would you keep him?
Receiver Marvin Jones, Denver's defense, and linebacker Leighton Vander Esch.
Philip Rivers, where's he going?
Um, I, I don't
After my mom's, where's he
I
going?
don't know. I could see him going to the Patriots.
I thought I read somewhere he was going to go to Indy.
Cowboys?
It's a crapshoot where these quarterbacks go.
Thompson says Cowboys.
See, I think Brady's going to go
I
to.
think Brady
You know what? Hold on.
retires the
Let's
Patriots.
save Brady. We'll get to Brady here when we get to Jordan's team, but we're going to talk about Rich's team right now, and he finished 8-5, sixth place. He made the championship playoff. He finished sixth place overall. Hold on one second. We got the XFL game is coming on here. I know some of the guys probably want to watch that. So we got here projected keepers. Receiver Michael Thomas. I mean that's a lock, obviously. Receiver DK Metcalf.
I like it.
Receiver Stephen Diggs.
Cardale Jones.
Running back Aaron Jones.
I like it.
Tight end Jared Cook. This one is iffy, but I think quarterback Teddy Bridgewater is gonna be a starter somewhere in
Yeah.
2020.
If not, it's good backup.
The Niners defense. Linebacker Darius Leonard. Defensive back Landon Collins, and wide receiver Paris Campbell. I know he struggled in 2019, but they're going to get a quarterback in there in Indy, and he's going to turn around. He's going to go back to what he did at Ohio State.
So, who Brissett, right, for Indy?
Yeah,
He was the quarterback.
right.
They're not going to roll with him, you don't think?
I think they're going to pick someone else. I mean, my opinion, they will. But back to here real quick. So he scored 17,000. I'm sorry. He scored 17,014 points, which was seventh overall in scoring. But he gave up 17,364, which put him 11th for giving up points.
11th.
11th.
I was 16th and giving up 18,000.
You gave up a lot of points.
I did. Still quite a gap, though.
Let's see. You know what?
Gave up 18,000 points.
Since he's here, we'll talk about him. Hold on. Where'd he go? All right. So let's talk about 8th place. Let's talk about Mark Thompson. Finished 7 and 6 overall. So and the room is going to really okay. So let's go with points given up first. Points given up in 2019. You gave up 16,866 points, which was 9th place in points given up in the season. Do you know how many points you scored? If I said you scored 5 points short of 20,000, that was the highest scoring team in the entire league.
Now, was it this league that you got everybody's best game, or was that the other league? Or both? Both leagues.
Well, no, there's actually someone else that got everyone's best game. It wasn't you. But I circled a lot of games for you. So you had a loss to Guy in week 4.
That week sucked.
You lost by 3 points.
I lost on the correction, stat correction.
Yeah.
I was, if you look, it said I won that week.
You need to be here. You need to be here. Yes, here. Come talk to the commissioner.
Week sucked. That hurt.
Well, we're apparently trading out Jimmy, and we're going to get Mark here. Welcome to our broadcast.
Because he can describe his team.
Now, just so you know, you won't be able to hear me on there, but you can still hear me talking. It's just they can hear you better on that. So in week 5, here I always circle this because you scored a league record, 2,144 points.
Yeah.
I scored
Wait, hold on. That's just in. I just scored again that week.
probably. I scored 1,610 points that week. Would
That's
you
a
believe?
great week.
Would
That's a
you
great
believe?
week.
Honestly, I looked at it. Had I not played you, I would have won my game.
Yep.
I beat every other team in the league. Just someone had to put up a record, and I see that being a record for a while to stand. Week 7, you lost by
50 points.
50 points to Rich.
Yep.
And then in week 10, you lost to Dennis by
52-ish.
52.
Yeah.
And then you beat Guy by just like not even 40 points in week 11. and then into the best of the rest.
The sad thing is going into before the playoffs. You know, it looked like I had a shot going 3 weeks out, and then I lost a heartbreaker, and I want to say it was that Week 9 game right here to Ephraim. I mean, that one was killer. I mean, 1681 I thought was a score to put
Well,
up, and
I can
he
tell you
just
this:
crushed me that
if
game.
you would have won, if you would have won, all you had to do was win one more game, and
Yeah,
you would have
yeah,
been in
it
the
was it.
playoffs. And I had Nick Ritz texting me, praying to God you lost to Jordan that last week.
Well, he
Because
got his
he did not want to
his,
face, he did
his
not want to
wish.
see you in the playoffs.
I hear you.
Of course, you beat Dennis in the best of the rest tournament. You won by what, 25,
Yep.
and then you lose by just 44 the next week, or you could have been the best of the rest winner.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I mean every week you just don't know what's going to happen. Obviously in football, and especially with fantasy football, as things go on, you know, your team is only as good as the injuries that you have, right? After a while, your wheels start to fall off, and that's kind of what happened with my team, with Tyreek Hill getting injured late in the season and Cooper Cup not
Still,
making it.
I mean, that trade was,
Oh yeah,
you had us all befuddled. Like all of a sudden,
it cost me my first rounder this year, but in all honesty, I would do it again in a heartbeat if it was a shot at trying to win the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I took a stab at it. I missed, but hey, there's always next year, and I have a pretty good lineup for
I mean,
going
as
into
this
next
proves,
year.
how much luck is involved
Oh
in
yeah,
this.
it's very true.
So our experts sat down and looked at your team, and our projected 10 for you are quarterback Deshaun Watson, who you acquired in a trade,
That's fair.
Tyreek Hill,
Mhm.
your 2017 first overall pick, running back Christian McCaffrey,
Maybe we'll see.
running back Saquon Barkley,
I guess.
tight end George Kittle,
Oh yeah, absolutely. That man's a
receiver
beast.
Will Fuller,
Yep.
Khalil Mack, the linebacker,
Yeah, probably not.
receiver James Washington,
Yep.
receiver
Yeah,
Cooper Kupp,
definitely.
and linebacker Devin Bush.
I think you're forgetting a certain. Well, so the problem is I'm probably not keeping Khalil Mack. I mean, if you think about it, he wasn't even my best defensive player. TJ or Devin Bush put up more points than Khalil Mack did. So did my two safeties. I can't remember. One of them was Julius Peppers, and I can't remember who the other one was, but both of those put up more
Jabril
points.
Peppers.
Yeah, but I have a better wide receiver that you're not even listing on the roster there.
Who was that? Who am I?
A certain wide receiver that Jimmy traded me. Tyreek Hill.
He's right there.
Oh, I didn't see him. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, he is on there. So that 10th one is probably going to be. I was thinking Devin Bush is probably the keeper that I'm going to keep, just on the fact that he is a sophomore going into the next season.
Well,
And he put up some pretty good points, but I just
any other final thoughts on your season?
it hurt. I feel like it was very Pittsburgh. Has the talent, should be in the playoffs, probably should have won the Super Bowl, but didn't, which kind of hurt. But we'll see next
Well,
year.
since
Always
Jimmy
next year.
bowed out, will you stick around and help do this with me?
Yeah,
A red carpet event? We're
sure.
breaking down teams here. We're going to talk about Jordan, who's not here. He's going to probably watch this on stream.
You want to talk about someone who's made a major overhaul on his team in the last 3 years? It's him. I mean, he's done a really good job over the last two of making smarter trades.
He still needs to keep on to those ones, though.
Yeah, he does.
I don't
He
think
does.
he's drafted first since the first year we did this.
Believe it or not, first round draft picks are a bit overrated, especially in a keeper league where you have the top, 160 people already taken off the top. You have to. I mean, let's face it. Jimmy's has a chance of getting the first three picks, and all three of them are going to be terrible.
Could you
year.
believe he was projected to win the whole thing?
I know, it's pretty ridiculous.
Ah.
But honestly, Jordan's made some major headway.
You missed it earlier. He was asking me what I thought about Chase Young. And I said to him, I go, well, he's my favorite Chase.
Oh.
Well, you've got to finish the rest of the sentence. He was predicted to win everything until I changed rules to make sure that didn't happen.
Oh.
Oh, geez. Anyway, so
He's salty.
let's talk about Jordan. So Jordan went 6 and 7.
Yep.
Finished 12th overall.
Yeah.
From a point standpoint, he scored 16,366, which was 10th.
Mm-hmm.
But points given up, he gave up 16,310, which was 4th overall.
Yeah.
So, when teams played him, they didn't show up against him, obviously.
Right.
We circled week 10, a loss to Jimmy, actually,
Yeah.
by 11 points.
That was Jimmy's only win, wasn't it?
He had 2.
Oh, sorry.
So.
That was half of his wins.
Um, But yeah, he didn't really have a lot of close matchups because we circle all the really close
No,
ones.
it's weird because either his team showed up and the other team just didn't, or his team showed up just like it had the rest of the weeks, and the other teams finally did show up. I
But where
mean,
he's
he
set
was
is for the
consistently around
future. He's
11 to
set for the
1400.
future. Look at his projected
Yeah,
10. We got Tom Brady,
yeah,
who will be somewhere.
yeah.
Receiver Jarvis Landry.
Definitely keeper.
Devontae Parker
Yeah,
finally had a breakout
finally.
year. Sony Michelle.
Michelle. Yep.
If he stays healthy, the kid's a stud.
Well, this next one's ridiculous.
And I think that just came out at the end. But running back,
Oh, Raheem Mostert. Oh, that is gold right there. That's fantasy gold right
speaking of
there.
gold, Golden Tate, we think
Yep.
he'll hold on to him. I mean, he's still solid. And Daniel Jones needs an experienced receiver in there.
True. Yep.
Um, we got running back Damian Williams. Now he might be the guy. He might not be, depending what. I mean, he looked good every
He
game
had a
I
good
saw.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I can't see why they wouldn't keep handing him the rock on that case.
Linebacker Bobby Wagner, arguably the best tackling machine in the league.
Funny story about Bobby Wagner. He got picked up in week 3, and I was talking with Jimmy at work, being like, "Hey, dude, I'm gonna try and throw out Khalil Mack to people and see if anyone wants him, and I'm gonna pick up Bobby Wagner off the waiver wire." And not more than an hour had gone by, and I'm like, "Fine, I'm just gonna drop Khalil and just pick up this guy." And he was gone, and Jordan had picked him up. I was so mad.
Receiver Christian Kirk, who we got
Yep.
in a trade, and linebacker Shaq Barrett.
Yep. He had a pretty solid defense, which I mean, which is crazy because when you think about our league, point structure wise, this year we did bump up the defense, and you could see a difference, but it's still not to the level of a wide receiver or a running back.
Well, and that's something that's going to be looked
But
at.
yeah, but in all honesty, there was still some consistency on Jordan's team where his defense was putting up good points.
Now, here's the crazy thing about Jordan is he did make a trade. This was actually 2 years ago, and it completes this year. He doesn't have a first round pick this year.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know who has that first round pick?
Would that be Jamie Chase?
No,
Would that be you?
no. The guy that finished second overall.
Really?
Ross
Ross?
Carlson has a potential to have a first, and where he sits, that's going to be.
Oh.
He has the 5th most amount of balls.
Right. So he's got a good chance at. I mean, it's not a good chance at the number 1 pick, but he's definitely got a good chance at moving up to a second or a third.
Fun fact about some of you guys, obviously aren't in this, but we actually are in a basketball. I created a basketball league.
Yep.
And he's in it. And would you believe he's the actual opposite in the basketball league?
Really?
One of the top teams.
No kidding.
Yep. Anthony, it's in one division. There's him, myself, and Anthony Sykes. We're actually in one division, and literally every week the 3 of us are flip flopping who's first in the division.
Well, I can tell you this from our region because it was our section. It was awkward every week. Like we couldn't get a person that was really taking the lead, and it just felt like every week there was going to be someone new at the top of our division, and it just played out that way.
Speaking of, I mentioned that first round pick. Let's move on to
Yeah,
Ross
that's
Carlson.
Ross. Yeah.
10-3 record. I mean, in my opinion, it was his
I thought he
season.
was gonna pull it off.
It was his season.
Yeah.
He finished second overall.
Yep.
Points scored. He scored 19,026, which was 3rd overall.
Pretty good.
Points given up 17,460, which was 12th overall. Highlighted games. The only highlight game really is that championship game where he lost by 60 points.
Yep.
Well,
it's crazy too because if you look at the rest of the games that he was playing, he had better games. That was one of his worst games all season.
Russell Wilson, I mean, played horribly that game.
He tanked pretty bad.
And that's really, I think, what cost him.
Yeah.
But so projected keepers for him, we got Russell Wilson.
Yep.
DeAndre Hopkins, obviously.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams, who he acquired from Patrick in a trade, which he actually traded his first round pick away. That's the funny thing is he traded his first round pick, but he's actually getting a better first round pick. He's guaranteed a top 10 pick.
Say,
where
I
he
would
have had
a smart move in the draft.
Yeah. We got running back Alvin Kamara.
Yep.
Got hurt, which also could have possibly cost him, was Chris Carson.
Yeah.
He got hurt, I think, in that game.
The crazy thing is, though, is when you look at his keepers that you're looking at here, he's pretty weak at running back, but he has got a beautiful set of wide receivers.
What about the next guy? He's tight end.
Oh, and Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is fantastic. He is a fantasy nightmare whenever
his backup quarterback, Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Sammy Watkins.
Yep.
That might be one when we wrote this down was kind of like that might be iffy because he didn't exactly have the greatest year.
Who, Watkins?
Yeah.
I
from
think
what he's.
I think the playoffs definitely solidified his spot in KC, and I think that he would be a fool to let go of Sammy Watkins at this
We
point.
got Allen Robinson,
Yep.
wide receiver, and linebacker Joe Schubert, who got I think almost 100 points every week.
Yeah.
He's a tackling machine as well. Um, Ross has been in the championship game now 3 times since
Yep.
the creation of this league. He's never won it. You know, he's been in the
Welcome to
best
the
of the
Buffalo
rest.
Bills.
Okay, so he's been in the league championship final three
Yep.
times, lost all three.
Sure.
Been in the best of the rest final twice,
Yeah.
lost them both.
Sure. That's not what you want to do.
No,
That's the epitome of
he's
first
getting to
loser.
the dance.
I know you're gonna. There's gonna be a time where he finally wins, or will probably be overtaken by Russia. But by that time, who knows? Maybe he'll be able to turn it on before then. It's
He's
crazy to think
he's
that you had.
walking into the dance with Cindy Crawford, and he's leaving with Cindy Brady.
No.
Is really what it comes down to.
It's kind of sad from that standpoint.
Yeah. All right. Who should we talk about next? Let's see. I'm trying to think of people who aren't here or who might not be here yet. You know what? Let's talk about it, which was Patrick Lane's team.
Okay.
Obviously, he stepped down this year,
Yep.
which was one of the nice things about last year. Was the first year we didn't have one person leave. In
We had a consistent group from the year before.
But he
Yep.
told me basically the reason he left was he just kind of lost the fire to do it.
Well,
And he's talked about
that's fair.
possibly, down the road he might get
Yeah.
it and want to come back. But so he obviously had a very poor team. Went 3-10. But he had an aging team.
Yeah. Yes, he
You
did.
know, and I think he's gotten some young guys in there which are going to help him.
Well, and with a quarterback-driven league like we have, his quarterback you would have expected more out of. I mean,
But he's on a team. But that quarterback's on a team that's running the ball a lot with Delvin Cook.
exactly. We're talking about Kirk Cousins here, obviously.
Um,
Kirk just man, you want to talk about the keys to a solid team, and he just seems to crash into a wall every year for some reason. It's
I
not
don't like
pretty.
that.
Sorry, but
Um,
it's not pretty.
so 2 games we circled for him was he got a win against Efren, which was a close one also,
Yep.
and he got a win against Anthony Sykes, which both were close ones, but he can. I think he could do it. I think. Well, it's going to be a new owner, Tony Mize. He'll be here today, so you guys, those who haven't met him, he actually was the one that made our pork,
Oh, cool.
the pork we have
Yeah.
for the draft, which is going to probably be a staple for
Awesome.
the draft every year. But looking at his points scored was 14,944, which was 15th overall. Points given up 17,697, which was 13th overall.
Right. I think he's
So
a couple
he
years away from making actual runs
probably.
in playoffs. I mean,
Oh,
unless he gets really lucky from a draft standpoint.
speaking of the individual,
Oh.
Tony just walked in. We're actually talking about your team right now, Tony.
Um,
Just how it's a work in progress.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I
so
was in that same boat a couple of years ago.
so our projected keepers. Now this is obviously barring any trades or whatever.
Sure.
Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
Receiver Brandon Cooks.
Yeah. That makes
Running
sense.
back Devin Singletary.
Okay.
Tight end Mark Andrews, who really had a great year.
Yeah. He actually did.
I think he's kind of Lamar Jackson's safety valve.
Yeah, he is. And unfortunately, Pittsburgh needs to find an answer for him when he's out on the field.
I need to find out why I let the guy go last year.
Yeah.
Running back Devontae Freeman, whose time might be kind of
Yeah.
winding down.
He may have another year. Or so.
Tight end Dawson Knox. He, I don't know, if you watched a lot of Buffalo Bills games at the end, he became a favorite target of Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the rest of the team. If the problem with keeping a second tight end, if it's not someone like a Kittle or a Kelsey or something like that as your first, and then you have a dependable one like a Zach Ertz or something like that back when he was in it, you're kind of giving up a spot. I would rather hold that spot for like a rookie wide receiver or a rookie running back or a third string running back that might be able to jump into place like Raheem Mostert did.
We got receiver D.D. Westbrook.
Yep, that's
Defensive back Justin Reed.
Yep.
Now this one is a question mark because we don't know what's going to happen with
Yeah.
suspension. But Miles Garrett and kicker Matt Prater. Now Tony is also in that basketball league, and I can tell you this: Tony is not Oh, he's wearing his Philip Rivers jerseys. Tony is not afraid of making deals.
Oh, nice.
He will be a deal
I
maker. He's
like
already
people
told me
like
that
that.
he will be a deal maker in this league, and he's right in the fight in our basketball league too. He's in the same division as myself,
Sure.
Anthony, and Jordan, and he's in fourth place in our division, but he's pretty much going to be in the championship playoff for that.
That's fantastic.
Um,
Oh, I like the idea of more trades happening in this league. I think that this year there were started like you kind of
this
see
year was the
this.
most trades
Yeah,
we
you
ever
could
had.
see more and more interaction going on, which was good. I think that's very healthy for the league. I think that's something that for the last couple of years prior, it was missing
Well,
for.
I think you're getting a lot of people are starting to learn if they want to win this league, they got to make moves.
Right.
But they also, to get something, you got to give something.
That's the hard part. Like I mean, you throw out an offer, it's like, okay, did you really want to trade something, or are you just trying to steal someone from something? Because if you're trying to steal someone, that's not going to work in a group like this.
Right.
But if you're willing to sacrifice for like one position to make a gain in another, I mean that's kind of where you're looking at. I mean, we were just talking about Ross's team with the four wide receivers. He's in a great position to say, you know what, Sammy Watkins had a great end of the season. His value's high. This would be a great time to trade him and try and find someone that's a running back that might be better for his team.
Um, let's talk about Christina.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
and she in 2018, she was the best of the rest winner. Just missed out on making the championship playoff that year, and had a decline. But she had some injuries. But she also made some moves. She traded away, of course, her first round pick
Yep. For
this year.
Le'Veon Bell.
And that was another one that really was kind of a stunner
I
to see.
I think it was the right move for both teams. I think Jimmy's kind of in a transition situation, and I think Christina picked up a solid back. One of the things I always look at when it comes to making trades, if I'm looking at trading one of my first round draft picks, it's like, look, if I'm giving up a future pick, if I was making a pick in the draft with that pick, would that be the person I select? Because in this case, is there anyone in the draft that's better than Le'Veon Bell? I just don't think so. I mean, sure, you have Jonathan Taylor Thomas. You have what's his
You
name
say
from?
Jonathan Taylor
Yeah, oh, I
Thomas?
totally did. You have
Little
you
Full
have
House shout out.
what's his name for Ohio State? J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. You have a situation where
We got Swift.
yeah, I mean, there's plenty of options available, but in still honesty, is that better than a Le'Veon Bell? And I just don't see it. Even with him at the Jets, like even with that dumpster fire of a team over there, he is still a
Are we
dependable
talking about
starter.
Jimmy's team or are we talking about the
No,
Jets?
we're talking about the Jets. Well, both
Oh, okay,
actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
both are
Now
dumpster
that we talk
fires.
about that.
Um, so she went 3-10, 14th overall.
Yep.
Points scored 15,357, which is 14th overall.
Hmm.
Points given up 16,023, put her at third.
Yep.
So she definitely, if she would have had more offense, if her people were healthy. I mean, you had projected keepers. We got Robert Woods,
Yep.
running back Le'Veon Bell, running back James White, receiver Ty Hilton,
Yep. T.Y.
T.Y.
Hilton.
Hilton,
Yep. T.Y. Hilton.
Melvin Gordon, and that one was right there is also a herder because I
Yeah.
mean that
First.
that could be a huge win for her
Well, the
if
first
he ends up
4 weeks he was
somewhere
out.
else.
Right. The first 4 weeks he was out, and then the next 2 weeks he
Hilton,
was
he got hurt, didn't he, to start?
no, he had the contract dispute
Oh, that's
that
right.
he had, and then the next 2 weeks he was terrible,
No,
and
Hilton.
then he finally started to pick it up as it started going on.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's got some talent on her team. It's just
Deion Lewis. Now that one we're kind of iffy if she'll keep
maybe.
him because he's more of a third down back now. Chiefs defense, linebacker Fred Warner, who got a lot of points, and
Yep.
linebacker T.J. Watt.
You mean the actual defensive player of the year? Sorry, not sorry. Just saying that he had a defensive player of the year season. It should have
Um,
happened.
but yeah, we see her future as being bright,
I think so. I think that's
But
a solid team.
not having that first round pick will be a biter for her.
I agree, but still, I think 3-10 is not really a good
I
indicator of what her team is going to be
if
next
you
year.
would have told me she would have finished 3-10 last year, I would have said you're crazy.
Um,
She's been competitive since she's been in it, and her
I,
original owner
yeah,
was always competitive too,
sure.
John.
Well, the only two things she didn't start with Le'Veon Bell on her roster, and then the other thing is Melvin Gordon didn't start playing
Right.
until week 6
That
of
wasn't
week
a
4.
biter.
But yeah,
Well, let's move on to Will.
no,
He went 10-3, finished third overall,
Will was
obviously.
my trading buddy.
Oh yeah, you guys made a few deals.
Wow, man,
For
I thought I fleeced him, and he absolutely crushed the deal in the end.
for points scored,
Yep,
17,844, which was fifth.
yep,
Points given up, 16,848, which was eighth.
yep.
Um, and then we circled a few of his games. We had the week 2 where he beat Guy by like
Oh,
what
the
33
30-point game.
points,
Yeah,
and then he lost to Efren by 10 points.
yeah.
If he beats Efren, he's the number 1 seed overall,
Yep. And it,
which would have put him playing, me. Oh, never
would
mind.
that
He
have
would have lost
changed
that
the
game. He would
actual
have lost that game
outcome?
actually.
Would that? Oh, he
Now
would.
I wish Efren would have beat him.
That's the way it goes, man.
See, he beat Ray by 30, and then he beat Dennis by what 8 points. I mean,
Yeah,
no,
both of
there's
those dudes
another
finished
cardiac
stickers that
kid.
week. Yeah, it's the nice thing about his team is Dak overperformed what we thought he was going to do, and that's one of the people I traded him. I traded him Dak Prescott, and I got Deshaun Watson back, and I traded James Conner too to him.
But that was really what he wanted was the running back.
Right, he wanted James Conner.
I mean,
It was me a matter
he's
of
got a
getting.
bright future. I mean, you got
Oh
Dak at
yeah.
quarterback,
Oh, his team is ready to go.
Michael Gallup,
Yep.
James Conner,
Yep.
Josh Jacobs, who I should have taken first overall. He picked up after
David
Dennis
Njoku?
released David Ninku,
Yep.
or am I saying it right?
I think it's Njoku, but
And I still think he's got potential as being a great tight end.
yeah.
Quarterback Cam Newton
Hmm.
as a backup, obviously.
Yeah.
And then he traded Jimmy for
Kerryon
Kerryon Johnson.
Yep.
We got the Patriots defense, and then we put tight end Austin Hooper and linebacker Chandler Jones.
I think those are fair choices. I mean, I will say this: he's got a good core, especially if Dak resigns with Dallas, or if he ends up going somewhere else. I think this year, from a fantasy standpoint, he put up better points than I ever expected him to put up. To the point where I, at times, especially early on, was looking back at that trade thinking, I'm an idiot. But then it ended up working out pretty good for me still.
Well, we got to move it along here because we want to get a break
Yep.
before we also got 2 to cover. We're going to start with Efren. And Efren's an interesting one to talk
I
about.
did not expect him to have the year he had.
So he finished 8-5,
Yep.
5th place overall. So let's see, points given up. I don't know. These are both so staggering numbers. So let's go points for. Points for 19,124,
Yep.
which was the second most points
Yeah.
scored in a season. Unfortunately for him, he gave up 18,458, which is 15th.
Second to
So
last.
essentially, he put up every single week, but when he did, everyone else put up against him.
Yeah, he had a and if you look at his scores too, they were pretty solid. He had a couple of spike ones,
Mhm.
but for the most part, he was putting up 1,400, I would say, average.
I think he won. Well, you won 3 times. You were the team of the week. I think he
Yeah.
won it twice. But we circled 2 games here for him. We circled week 6 where he beat Will but the game where he beat Will by 10,
Yep.
and week 7 where he lost to Patrick by what 65.
Yeah.
And that one could be. I mean, he goes and wins that one. Look at this. It was 11-23 to 11-88.
Yeah.
You win that game, he wins the division. All he had to
True.
do was win one game, and he won. What's the other one? The one where he lost to Dennis.
Yep.
By 22. I mean, he wins one more game, and he would have been the 4th seed.
Yep. It's crazy how that goes.
Yep. And actually, if he would have been the 4th seed, if I would have lost to him in the first round of the playoffs, he would have beat Ross the next week.
Huh.
He would have lost to Ritz, but he
Oh,
would have beat Ross to make it to the final.
gotcha. That's a pretty solid team there.
But also, if he would have won the division, I wouldn't have made it in. He would have got in to the
Really?
playoffs. Dennis would have got in.
Dennis would have got in over.
I only got in because I had to
Yeah,
win the division to get in.
You needed some voodoo magic. To
I
happen.
needed a lot of magic, and I got
Yep.
it. A lot of help. I guess we'll save the best for last here. So Nick went 10-3.
Yep.
Obviously won the whole thing for the 3rd time straight. He put up 17,528, which was 6th scoring, and he gave up 16,334, which was 5th.
Yep.
So I guess it's better. He's scoring more than he's giving up.
That's the key to winning.
Yep.
But
Um,
those aren't major points by any stretch of the
Games we
imagination.
circled for him. Week 6, he beat Ray 1,036 to 906.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
his team barely had a pulse, but it was a little bit better than
Than
Ray's.
Ray.
So
And
that's
then he
all that
wins it
matters. A
all.
win's a win, man.
And then the championship game, he won it all by not even 60
And
points.
again, both teams put up clunkers of scores for that
Yep.
championship game, but his was just a little bit better, and that's all that matters in the league.
For keepers, we got Jimmy Garoppolo,
Yep.
Matt Stafford,
Yep.
Adam Thielen,
Yep.
Joe Mixon, Todd Gurley, which I'm sure he's probably still willing to put on the trade block.
Oh, yeah.
Keenan Allen, Cortland Sutton, N'Keal Harry, the receiver from New England, Tyler
Okay.
Boyd,
Yep.
and O.J. Howard.
I think that's pretty solid. And it's crazy when you think those are his 10
And we
keepers.
know some of these people are going somewhere else.
But I mean, in all honesty,
I mean, you talk about trading.
when you look at those keepers and you look at some of the other teams that we've had, that we've talked about already, and you look at these keepers and you think, okay, Adam Thielen, yeah, totally makes sense. Jimmy Garoppolo, yep, makes sense. Matt Stafford, yeah, in this league because it's point heavy, and sure he broke his back, but I'm sure he'll come back strong. But then the smoke and mirrors come out, and he just has consistent people that put up consistent points. They weren't flashy. They weren't gonna. I mean, they were gonna put you up 90 to 100 points every week, and that's kind of all he needed, and it just worked out pretty darn well for him.
Well, we got about 14 minutes before we got the big draft, obviously. We're going to recap the season,
Yep.
hand out all the awards. We got a special award for someone in the room, which you actually were a recipient of 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, the infamous Peyton Hillis.
Yes. So we actually have, and Ray won it last year, so
I'm so proud of him.
this year's winner.
Did you make a nice little
And we
portrait
think
for
the
him?
artwork was our best job yet.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
For those, the Peyton Hillis Award goes to a special individual. Peyton Hillis was a running back for Cleveland
Great White Buffalo.
and Kansas City.
Yeah. Yep.
He made the cover of Madden.
Yep.
He was called the White Rhino.
Oh, was it the White Rhino? I
The
thought it
White
was White
Rhino.
Buffalo. Gotcha.
And that's about all we can say about the guy.
Yeah, it ends there.
But it's a very special. It's the Peyton Hillis Excellence Award.
I like that award.
So,
It was fitting.
some of you that haven't seen it yet will get to see that today. And then obviously we're going to have our big draft lottery. Of course, you
excited
don't
for
have a
that.
dog in that one because you traded away.
No.
But
I'm excited to see what happens, just from a fact of if there's some shenanigans that go on, if somehow the ping pong balls don't fall the way that they're supposed to fall, and all of a sudden,
it's a big box,
sure,
and we can shake the heck out of it. And we got an independent drawer for it.
that's good. That's good.
Jeff's going to draw it for us.
Yep.
He has nothing to do with this league at all other than showing up and saying hi and
Sure.
eating some good food. But
With 150 under the table, is it going to say Mark Thompson even though I don't have a first round pick? That'd be great.
nope. and the cool thing is we're going to do it like the NBA does it. So he's going to draw 10.
Yep.
And then instead of names in these little ping pong balls, there's numbers, and everyone's assigned a number.
Sure.
So I have envelopes that have the name on. So when he draws the first number, I'll take the envelope, and there's a little board over there. It'll go on the board. And then once we get all 10 done,
Yep.
then we're going to go in reverse. And we'll count out 10. And before I call it out, so we'll say, okay, so number 10, if everything goes as is, would be Guy.
Yep.
Guy would have the 10th pick.
Sure.
So if the envelope isn't Guy, then we know Guy moved up.
Right.
And then after we do that, then we'll obviously do some voting, which we heard you have something you'd like to put in.
Yeah. Mine deals with wide receivers. It came to Guy and I's game where
Will Baldry just showed up.
Yeah. Hey.
And Christina. There's
With Guy's
there
game,
she is.
him having Patrick Mahomes.
We're on a live stream.
We were in a situation where I was looking at him like, wow, all right, so I got Tyreek Hill, he's got Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes will put up, 400 to 600 points in a week. The problem is that Tyreek Hill will not differentiate any points from him. So any points that Tyreek Hill scores, Patrick Mahomes was scoring right with him, like to the T for the most part. Maybe one extra point from a catch standpoint, but for the most part, it was Tyreek Hill putting up 200 points, but you have Mahomes who's putting up 600 points. There was no differentiation, so that if Mahomes is just targeting him over and over again, you never saw really a superstar moment for that because both people were getting the exact same amount of points basically for that. So from a standpoint of wide receivers, they're grossly undervalued in our league compared to a running back or a or a quarterback. The running back has the ability to rush the ball as well as get the receiving yards. You have a quarterback who's just tossing the ball all over the place, and even if it's a little swing back to the running back, they're getting all those points just based upon what the running back does too in that case. The nice thing is with the running back though is when he hands it off, running back's getting solo points. So even if you have the situation where you have Damian Williams and you have Patrick Mahomes, Damian Williams could go off for 165 yards rushing, and those 165 yards in our league actually go towards this point total that Mahomes never sees.
Mhm.
But with a wide receiver like Tyreek Hill or Sammy Watkins, when Patrick Mahomes throws that ball, he's getting all 12 yards worth of points, and he's getting all the touchdown points in that case. So I'd like to see some discrepancy and change in that, because if a wide receiver, who in this case what we're talking about with Tyreek Hill, has a monster game, he should be rewarded for that. Because when you're tossed into 7 different wide receivers on the field throughout the game, and you have a running back and tight ends with all those targets, if he keeps going back to the same one, that person deserves to get a little bit more cheddar in our league, I think. But yeah,
Well, we're gonna wrap it up here because we got about 10 minutes before the actual meeting itself, and I want to grab something to drink here.
yeah, totally
We
understandable.
appreciate you
Hey, thanks for
joining
having
us
me
here
on.
after Jimmy bowed out. So we're gonna end the stream, and we'll be joining back here in about 10 minutes.
Cool.